Welcome back to the CHGO Bears Podcast. Of course, all CHGO Bears training camp coverage presented by Ray Chevrolet. Shop the freedom to save sales event all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. Serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. At this point, some of you might be watching this again or already heard an intro. I honestly don't know anymore. Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Nicholas Moreano, Greg Braggs Jr. with you. We had some technical difficulties in our first segment. So if you're just watching this video, you're like, where the heck did the best and worst go? Or I haven't seen that yet. There's a separate video out there on YouTube that you can watch with all the best and worst from today's first padded practice at Hallis Hall. Otherwise, we're going to continue on with the rest of our show from this point on, and hope it all makes sense to you. But we're glad it sounds better, and we got all those kinks worked out, and hopefully it stays that way. So keep it that way. And, oh, wow, look at this. How about this for a reboot? Maybe it can get a $100 super chat from Crystal, can get us better internet. Hey, she says, hey, it's okay, guys. Happy Friday. I'm not the Duke, but I'll consider myself the Duchess.
Damn right.
Always have some drinks, Miller Lite or whiskey. I'm doubling down on my take. Bears to the Super Bowl, but they lose. Wow. See you guys tomorrow. Love always. Braggs, you're the man.
That's big.
That's huge. Thank
Crystal's
you so much,
best. Crystal's the best. Let's go.
We were able to get Crystal to training camp. You know, I had a friend that had a bunch of extras thrown at me yesterday morning, and Crystal was definitely one of the people on the short list of people that need to get to camp. And so I'm excited to announce that Crystal will be live and in person for training camp tomorrow. Carm, you're going to have to give her a big hug.
I can't wait. And, you know, whenever you mention Crystal, you should mention CHGO softball legend Crystal, who's undefeated, 1-0. And we can't wait to get her back out there because right now we've lost our last 2 games. So we need you, Crystal, on like every single level. But
sounds like a manager problem to me.
Rude. I mean, but yes, sure. I do have to make some adjustments here. And one of them will be putting the best player on the team in the lineup, and that's me. So
and also just in terms of super chats, football CF Candy, and I know a couple other people did have super chats through all the chaos. I was asked to take pictures of those, but we ended up leaving that stream, so I do not have them in front of me, football CF Candy. But if you put your comment here in the chat of what it was, it'll 100% get read. So again, we apologize for the technical difficulties, but we wanted to make sure we did this right for you guys. So we'll make it work.
And again, we did do our best and worst already. So if you're watching this and you're wondering, or you didn't see where that was, or there's any problems with it, find it on our YouTube stream. We talked a lot about Javon Dexter, what we saw from him in the first day of pads. Tyson Bagent did not have his best practice, struggling as a number 2 quarterback today, but otherwise I think camp's been mostly okay with him. Carm loved his press conference, which we will get into here a little bit more. So a lot of best and worst there to catch up on. In the meantime, I wanted to talk about, which is what our headline was for the show, and that is how chirpy practice was today. Some of it involving players, but a lot of it just involving this coaching staff getting after it. This has been a theme. It's nothing new today, although I thought it was ramped up a little bit today with the pads on. I don't know how Chad Morton, the running backs coach, covers as much ground as he does. I'd love to see, like, if his Apple Watch is tracking like how many miles he actually runs within one practice, because he is chasing his running backs down the field when they break off a big run. He's supposed to be on the offensive side or behind the play, depending on, I'm not exactly sure where they want him, but half the time he's in the middle of the defensive coaches and teams on that sideline. He's just constantly moving all around, constantly chirping. He and David Overstreet just yelling at each other the whole time. It is entertaining to watch. And sometimes I'm like, how are the players receiving this? Are they getting annoyed at any point? But I do have to say, remember, Kevin Byard said in his press conference the other day that his favorite offensive coach is Chad Morton. and because of that energy that they're bringing in practice. And it was fun to watch today.
Well, and Chad would go on that sideline and he would look just at these defensive players, David Overstreet, just stare a little bit and then continue walking. We know, I mean, Hoge, we were saying that, oh, he's doing it again. Oh, there he goes again. After running down with Roschon Johnson, he's got that energy. That's just how he is. And I think that's, the defensive players see it. His running backs obviously see that. It's infectious, I think. And David Overstreet matches that energy, though. Like when you go to a Bears practice for training camp, when you're allowed to be there, you're going to hear Overstreet hyping up his DBs, and you're going to hear Morton, or you're going to see Morton running down the field with his running backs. Just it's going to happen, but I do like the energy that these guys are bringing.
Braggs, you want to get in here?
I mean, you mentioned it earlier, Carm, but I mean, when you talk about the chippiness, you certainly saw it with Eberflus and some of the assistant coaches, but the one that really stood out was, the DeMarcus Walker, Gerald Everett, and then in comes Caleb Williams, from the top rope. He comes out of nowhere and gets right in the middle of it and has his teammates back, gets right into Marcus Walker's face. And you thought for a second that things were going to start getting a little more amped up in terms of the physicality of the fight. I would call it a dust up, but it got hot for a dust up. It definitely got hot. Gerald Everett, DeMarcus Walker in each other's face. DeMarcus had just blown up the play on a run up the middle with DeAndre Swift. And then all of a sudden, Caleb Williams has his teammates back, and you saw some of that tenacity from Caleb that I think anybody would like to see from your leader. But to see that from a rookie quarterback in that moment, that to me was probably the first moment that he's showing the rest of his teammates what he's all about when it comes to that. So that was a huge moment, in my opinion, for Caleb. And afterwards, I talked to Gerald Everett as he was hanging out with some fans, and I said, hey, Caleb had your back there for a minute. He goes, yeah, he better. And he said it in a joking way, but, you could tell that, that's the kind of stuff that'll resonate, when a quarterback does that for your guys.
So the DeMarcus Walker part of this thing, I'm just curious how you guys feel about it, because DeMarcus Walker has not been a great player for the Bears. What he's been great at is doing a lot of talking. And today, it's a padded practice, but they're not hitting. And I think, Braggs, you said DeAndre Swift. I thought it was Khalil Herbert. It doesn't matter. I mean, he went full-on tackle, which started the whole thing. And, and he's doing all this chirping. And I'm just kind of like, dude, you're a little far out there for how much you're actually, contributing to the product on the field on Sundays. Is anybody else having that reaction, or is it just me?
He did this last year too, Carm.
I know.
He was the loudest guy at camp.
I get it.
Right. So there's a semblance of him trying to set a tone, but Akeem Hicks was known for this. But you know what? To your point, Carm, he backed it up when the season, got going. So I hear what you're saying, but I would rather have my defensive linemen have a touch of nastiness to them. But yeah, of course, you're going to talk. You got to back it up too.
Well, I just don't think that's the story here. Do you want your quarterback in the middle of a skirmish or not? Well, because that's the story here. Ryan Bates was like, yeah, absolutely love that. Don't ever do it again. And that's what I think is the story here today with what happened, because I think it's a great moment for Caleb Williams as a rookie. You got a couple of your big defensive linemen going after one of your teammates, and he jumps right in there and basically, hugs DeMarcus Walker to get him off him. And that is something that I guarantee you will resonate in that huddle, in that locker room with the offensive guys. And now at the same time, the coaching staff and his teammates can be like, thank you for showing us that. Don't ever do it again. We will take care of this. We're the big guys that have the quarterbacks back. It's still important that he did that to kind of establish that. They all know that now about him. But at the same time, the last thing you want is your quarterback getting in the middle of 300-pound guys in the middle of a skirmish. So, and I'm sure they're going to have that conversation with him if they haven't already today after practice. So I think it's an important moment for him. And now you can kind of just let that be a thing that exists and now stay out of it.
For the record, I completely agree that it was a huge deal that Caleb stepped in there, and I think it also underlines what everyone has been saying about him, that this guy's a great teammate, that he's doing everything the right way, and his teammates appreciated it. And I don't know if he's as calculated as you're saying, Hoge. Like, if I do this now in this moment, then I'll never have to really do it again per se. Or at least not for a while, because it's not a smart thing. But I do want to show.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not even saying it's premeditated. I'm saying that's who he is. Great.
Okay.
His teammates know that now. And now the rest of them and the coaching staff can say, please don't ever do that again because we don't want you to get hurt. But he's at least established that baseline of like, this guy's going to fight for us. We know that about this rookie.
Sure, but I also think, and then Nick, I'll let you jump in here, so I'm not trying to jump over you, but like, I also think that Caleb is a very self-aware person. And so in that moment, yeah, it's an instinctual reaction, but at the same time, I think he really does go out of his way to make sure everyone around him knows that he wants to be a good teammate. Whether that's at Wrigley Field hanging out with the guys or Comiskey, or if it's on the practice field, or if it's in the workout room, or they're out, at the movie theater. And so I think he, heard all the noise of who he was coming out of college or who he was in college last year. This prima donna notion that people put on him, and DeMarcus Walker saying that he didn't like that, that was the label put on him. So that is an opportunity there to say, like, to continually show that whatever you thought of me, that's not who I am.
Yeah, and I think too, you guys, with this being the first day of pads, the intensity it took a notch up, right? And I think when Caleb does that, he's just meeting the level of intensity that the defense is bringing, the offense is shoving back, and he's a part of this offense as well. So I think it was right for him to do what he did. But again, like in a game scenario, like, do you want to see your quarterback doing that? No, that's what your offensive linemen are for. But they know now he has their back, like they're going to have his moving forward. But it just matched the level of intensity that we all kind of felt with the first day of pads, the excitement. It really did. It was fitting that it happened today.
Hey, you know me. I'm a fighter. So like if he did, like, I don't want him doing it every week, but if he does that in a Packers game, go for it. Like Tom Brady, how many times is he getting somebody's face? Like they got a little bit of nastiness to him. He don't need to be like Eli running in the other direction. I'll take a little bit of chippiness now, but at the same time, there is a line. I understand that. But getting in somebody's face. No, I don't want him throwing punches. Keep your fists down, but you can talk all the smack you want, get in somebody's face. Go for it. I love it.
For the record, here's exactly what Ryan Bates had to say about this thing that happened today with Caleb Williams, who again stepped in the middle of basically DeMarcus Walker and Gerald Everett, but didn't just get in the middle and like say, calm down. I wouldn't call him a peacemaker as much of a get off my tight end, for lack of better phrasing there. And so here's what Ryan Bates said. That's my quarterback. I love that. I love that mentality. He's got to be smarter though, because we can't have that. God forbid anything happens, but I love when he stepped in there and got in the middle of it. That's who he is. He's a chirpy guy. He wants to get in there. He wants to compete. Yeah. I love him so far. Follow-up question about what Carm was talking about earlier with DeMarcus Walker, though. He said, if you enjoyed DeMarcus Walker's trash talk, and he said he likes to talk, but he's a great teammate. DeMarcus, he makes us better. During games, we're going to have that talk during games. I'm going to play some defensive linemen who won't close their mouths necessarily. It's only going to make us better, and I love the way he competes. And as far as I can tell in the year plus that DeMarcus Walker's been here, that's how his teammates feel about him. I've never sensed that it's a problem. It might seem like a lot to us as we're watching, but like I know I bring this up a lot, but the Chase Claypool thing that happened last year in camp, like you could see people like putting their head down and kind of walking away like, oh my God, like this guy. Mm-hmm. I don't see that with DeMarcus Walker. I haven't heard that about DeMarcus Walker. And quite frankly, like I'm not trying to say he had a great year last year, but I don't think he had a bad year. Like I think he played his role to what they signed him to be. As somebody who's versatile, can kick inside. He's good against the run. Most of his production came inside. Like I don't sense a problem there at all.
Let me be clear. I'm not saying that there is a problem with DeMarcus Walker at all. I am saying that And I also loved what he said the other day too about wanting, when you hit at your little brother, you want him to hit back. So I do think his ultimate goal here is to raise the level of everyone, which is sweet. And I think he's a good teammate. I also think he tackled a dude today that didn't necessarily have to happen, and it started something. And it was sweet to see Caleb in there, and I love the leadership. And he was kind of flailing, his hand in there. Like if something terrible had happened, like he broke his finger doing in there, it would be the worst development that could possibly happen. And DeMarcus Walker started it, so I like the chirp, but like there's got to be a little bit of balance here, in my opinion.
All right. Well, I still love seeing that type of stuff, especially
for sure. Boys will be boys.
Yeah, this time of year.
Bears will be bears.
I also love pork. You guys love pork?
Mm-hmm.
Pork's phenomenal. Yes. And it is grilling season, so go get your pork. People who are active, they need more protein than the average American. And we're going to talk about one of those Americans here in a second. In fact, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, Dietitians Canada, and the American College of Sports Medicine recommend 1.2 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes, depending on your training. In other words, if you're 150 pounds, that's about 81 to 136 grams of protein per day. That's a lot. So 1 3-ounce serving of pork provides 23 grams of high-quality protein that can help active individuals build and preserve muscle. The International Society of Sports Nutrition recommends that people who are involved in a general fitness program who are interested in optimizing their health eat low-fat, high-quality sources of protein, which include lean cuts of pork. Elevate your protein game with lean pork, a powerhouse of natural goodness. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. From your sausage and bacon for breakfast to pulled pork or juicy chops hot off the grill, it's an entire season dedicated to pork and the people behind the product, paid for by the Illinois pork producers. Generations of commitment.
And shout out to our friends at Game Time Tickets. It is the absolute best way to go get your last-minute tickets. Flash deals, zone deals. It's the easiest place to find literally any tickets. Baseball, if you want to get a great value on a Cub game, I'm sure they're right there for you. Any kind of event, concerts, the whole deal. Lowest price guarantee. They also have the event cancellation protection, job loss protection, all these things. But when you go on the app, you get seat view so you can see exactly where you're going. And that lowest price guarantee, how does that work? Well, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a better price on another app somewhere in the land. Game Time's got you covered there. Take the guesswork out of buying any tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHGO. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create that account, redeem code CHGO, $20 off your first purchase. You can go like 6 White Sox games with that. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
He definitely just said sucks, White Sox.
I did not. I would never. It's not. I'm a classy guy, Greg. I would never do that.
Yeah.
You also what?
First class, all the way. Mark Carman.
Oh, here.
Hey, how about how we started our day today?
I thought it was phenomenal.
I mean, not all of us woke up at 3 a.m. and did a dark video in a pool, but we did. We did go over to Hawthorne Mall and say hi to some Bears fans and hand out some donuts.
Yep.
I was actually impressed with how many people turned down the donuts.
Well, and I have an update for you guys because the bus driver, as he was taking us to House Hall, started, talking about where we were going and what we were doing. And he mentioned that he was not happy that no one offered him a donut.
Ooh.
I thought I saw that loaf and I felt that loaf, but I didn't fix that loaf. So that's on me. So it's officially my loaf. But you know what I'm going to do, Gregory, you're going to be back out there tomorrow morning.
Yes, sir.
See, I thought Hoge did a great job today with the donuts, but I think what we need is munchkins. There's too many people out there. I think everybody needs to get a munchkin. I think that's the play.
Munchkins crossed my mind. I'm not going to lie. It crossed my mind to go munchkins. There's way more there. I went 2 dozen donuts. There's way more than 24 people in there.
It's just, you can't do it. You got to munch it up. You got to go munchkin.
Well, The thing was, the plan was to show up while everybody's outside waiting for the buses.
Yep. My calculations on when we were loading on the buses were a little off.
He ended up in the bus so early. I didn't even leave my house yet. And I was like, oh, no. So anyway, hey, it's the effort and the thought that counts, right, people? I think Eric Bochanton saying you should do Uncrustables. That's a great idea.
That's a clutch. Yeah, that'd be good.
That's a unbelievable snack of availability there. So shout out
I guess I just want to say, like, overall for me, you know, being my first day at camp and my first time getting to see, you know, Caleb Williams, who all us as fans are excited to see in person when it is your first time to see it. You know, and we've talked so many times, all of us, but, you know, Hoge, you know, how many times we've mentioned, like, when there's somebody that's special that comes along, like a Brandon Marshall, you know, somebody that's different, you know, Devin Hester or, you know, Brian Urlacher, you see somebody at camp that's just different than what you're used to seeing. When I was coming into camp, obviously with all the hype and expectation, yesterday the Bears put out that throw of them, you know, doing that little jump man, you know, sidearm toss, dart to the sideline. So you're dreaming of like coming to camp today and Caleb just absolutely lighting it up and fulfilling every dream you've had to see a Bears quarterback and his, you know, play like that in a Bears uniform. And so, you know, I guess once practice started and the struggles were apparent, you know, there was a lot of misfires, overthrows, underthrows. He did have moments where he ripped it in the post to Keenan Allen and Gerald Everett. I think those were some of his best throws of the day. But ultimately, the sloppiness, the penalties, the overthrows, the misfires, you know, they did finish on a strong note with a bomb to Tyler Scott down the right sideline where Caleb really showed that ability to get out of the pocket and throw on the run. But the choppiness, the inconsistency of the day is something we're used to seeing for all the offenses I've ever seen at training camp. So it was kind of a humbling reminder that this is still a long ways to go. He is a very talented quarterback. This is a very talented team. But at the end of the day, he is a rookie quarterback. This is a first-year offense. And as much as we all want this to get going as fast as possible, you know, there is going to have to be some patience. And let's hope that doesn't mean more losses than wins to start the year with a favorable schedule. But ultimately, it was kind of a reminder like, hey, there's a process here that's got to take place. And for all the hype, you know, we got to remember that as we go.
And I think the 2-minute situation was a perfect example of all that going on, because that was at the point where I think, you know, you could tell even a lot of the fans in the stands were frustrated with the amount of penalties and how many times the whistle was being blown in. And honestly, until yesterday, we really hadn't seen that a whole lot. Now, all of a sudden, the last couple of days, it's been an issue with the pre-snap penalties. However, they get in that 2-minute drill, kind of like yesterday, or I say, yeah, they start running together, but they start moving the ball pretty good. I loved it. It was like 3rd and 3. And one of the things I got to say, guys, like that, I was Jason McKee, who was at practice today, and we were walking in together. And I was like, yeah, I think one of the few things I'm a little disappointed about so far is that I haven't seen Roma Dunze involved as much as I was really hoping so far. So for that 3rd and 3, just a simple out, timing, anticipation, it was there. It was like, that's what an easy 3rd down completion is supposed to look like. And so I love seeing that. And then he rips that shot you were just talking about over the middle to Keenan Allen on the very next play. And again, timing, rhythm, accuracy, all on display. In stride. It was great. And then the next play was the one play we brought up earlier, which was Roma Dunze wide open in the end zone on a blown coverage between Jaquan Brisker and Tyreek Stevenson, and Caleb missed him. Now, I do have to say, Rome looked a little confused. He looked to this shoulder first, and then he went to this shoulder. So I just think they weren't necessarily on the same page on where that ball was going to go. I don't necessarily care. You get a blown coverage like that with Roma Dunze, that needs to be a touchdown 10 out of 10 times. And so that was disappointing to see, regardless of what the reasoning was. However, the very next play was I love how Caleb was just like, I'm going back to that corner of the end zone. And so he escapes the rush. He rolls out to the right, and he hits Tyler Scott in stride on a great throw. So that whole 4-play sequence right there showed some of the rookie struggles that you're talking about, Bragg, some of those rookie moments. However, the absolute brilliance that could be on display here if this all goes the way we all think it could go.
Real quick, going back to that Rome play, like even though it was a misfire, they didn't connect, it was drawn up for Rome. You have Keenan Allen out there, you have DJ Moore out there, and yet that's where the play looks like it's designed to go there. And it just didn't.
Are you talking about the third down, third and short?
No,
the
deep ball.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, even that's telling of how they feel the confidence in obviously a rookie top 10 pick, but yeah, it's encouraging to see that. And then eventually they'll learn off of each other where exactly that ball needs to go, how they can connect on that play moving forward. But those are, look, they salvaged a offensive practice right in that 2-minute drill, because I think there are a lot of good takeaways, but like everyone's just kind of saying there are things that they need to clean up. Like Andrew Billings can't cause false starts, but he is one of the best in the league at doing what he does in terms of like trying to get the offense to get like a miscue, right? So they have things to work on, but I don't think it's, it's the first day in pads too. It's like you have to gradually build up, level up, as Matt Eberflus likes to say, and it starts from this practice moving forward.
Well, lastly on this, it was interesting to me how much conversation between Tyreek Stevenson and Jaquan Brisker was going on the field as they were kind of going back and forth with each other as to why they both left Rome. And it cannot be overstated how open he was. I mean, he was standing in the end zone basically by himself, and Caleb missed him, so it wasn't great. But there was legit confusion between the two, and they were going back. And so, again, these are two young players working on their chemistry. And like, I think I heard Brisker say, you got to talk. So, that was,
and I'm not sure what the underneath route was there that may have helped cause that confusion. But I agree with you, Hoge, that I think that, on its surface, it looks like a bad throw because it's not a completed catch. But Rome is like a center fielder that can't find the ball in the air, lost in the sun. He's looking left, he's looking right. And so to me, I think he had trouble tracking that ball. But again, it's hard to say for sure if, like you said, Hoge, maybe Caleb thought more to the corner and Rome was thinking more to the post, and that's where it was. But at the end of the day, Rome just clearly had trouble tracking it. So it'd be interesting to know why for sure.
Real quickly, you guys, we have a Bears unofficial depth chart that just came out.
Interesting.
We have at center Ryan Bates or Coleman Shelton. At punt returner. At punt returner, you have DeAndre Carter or Velus Jones Jr. Kick returner, Velus Jones Jr. or DeAndre Carter.
But you're missing the lead here. Backup quarterback, Tyson Bagent or Brett Rippon.
I told you, Carm. I told you.
Wow, there's an or there. And Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson for RB2.
Message sent that press conferences aren't going to get it done.
All right, you two need to stop celebrating when things don't go Bagent's way because you want to dunk on me. That is unprofessional, and it's not the type of podcast that I want to be a part of. Second of all, these or things. Velus Jones Jr. ain't returning punts for the Bears. Brett Rippon ain't backing up the quarterback, and Ryan Bates is going to be the starting center unless somebody gets hurt. So you guys can read all you want into your ors and ifs and thens and thises. We all know what's going on here.
To be clear, I actually agree with everything you just said about these ors, and I would actually say I'd be shocked if Khalil Herbert's not even the running back 2 ahead of Roshan Johnson, because I think he's had a nice camp so far, Khalil Herbert. I don't put a whole lot into these. The Bears are, for the record, you're required to put out a depth chart, like whatever it is, once the week before your first preseason game starts. It's the same thing that, every team has to do this throughout the season. Teams play games with it. I don't know. You just use your eyes, I think, is more important. If there's anything on the back end of is anyone surprised that Khalid Kareem is listed as the last defensive end?
No.
I mean, he was on the team last year. Like he's behind Daniel Hardy. Jacob Martin's listed as DeMarcus Walker's backup. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that was the other story of the day was that Jacob Martin got banged up on a play, and then he didn't return. Correct, Nick? He went. I'm fairly certain.
I even saw that, Greg. But
yeah,
that makes sense. Why we saw Austin Booker running with the ones at the end of the situational team period, and it was the rookie in there opposite of Montez Sweat. So that would make a lot of sense now.
And on the O-line, we saw a moment where Tevin Jenkins briefly left and then came back. And the guy who went in for him at left guard was Bill Murray. Not that Bill Murray, but the Bill Murray who's on the Bears.
So
they have Ja'Tari Carter as the backup left guard there, but we've seen him play a lot of tackle recently. So
Ja'Tari Carter was one of the guys who had a false start today. I don't want to single him out, but it was all over the place. And that, like, some people can have him. Ja'Tari Carter is not one of the people that can have him. That dude's got to level himself up. When you said Bill Murray, by the way, when you first said it today, Hoge, I literally started looking around for the actual Bill Murray. Like, I'm like, oh, Bill Murray's here, sweet.
Well, he is a Bears fan. I mean,
he is right. I mean, it wasn't possible, but yeah, it wasn't him.
It would be great if the Bears had an actual starting offensive lineman named Bill Murray. I just think that would be because we got that Bill Murray gif. Of him. Yeah. Isn't he saying like bear down in the GIF or whatever with
He's putting the bear down hat on?
Yeah. So that would be too perfect. All right, couple items we got to get to as well. This is disappointing news for Carm, but Ryan Bates today said that, quote, there are no me guys on the team. Just
Carm and I looked at each other immediately when he said that. We literally looked at each other. We're across from the press conference room. We both were smiling and kind of laughing. No me guys, Carm.
Well, see, it's and that's fine with Ryan. I don't want to quibble with the Bears center to be, but everyone loves to say there's no me guys. But I am looking right now at 3 me guys. I am looking at everybody out there is ultimately a me guy.
Carm doesn't believe that everybody's a me guy in Carm's world. That the ones that say they're not me guys are just lying.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I think there's great teammates, but I do think that Ryan Bates wouldn't be in the NFL if he didn't put the oxygen mask on himself first, aka me guy. We can
quibble,
kind of. Massage what a me guy is to make me look bad if you'd like to. I'm totally okay with it. And there are corners of me guy-ness that makes me look terrible. Like when I openly rooted against one of my best friends who was playing second base when they benched me because I made 4 errors, and I was openly, at least innerly, rooting for him to make an error. Sorry, Rob Ginsburg. That was wrong. But I wanted my position back. I needed him to make an error. Not proud of it. Who did you not root for in Little League, Hoge? I know you got someone. You didn't root for Billy or Bobby or Susie or Howard.
Definitely Howard.
There's still obviously levels to this me guy thing, and you are way up here.
We could do a whole podcast on the psychology of me guy. And me and Carm have had many debates on this. So,
yeah. I agree with a lot of what Carm's saying. But this other item from Tyson Bagent we got to address. This is actually kind of crazy. He said Tyson Bagent says he was too busy this offseason, quote, grinding his face off to worry about if the Bears brought in an established veteran cornerback. On June 19th, Bagent completed a 1-mile burpee broad jump led by his friend Derek Gallagher. So apparently this is a birthday tradition. Derek challenges Tyson Bagent to some type of insane workout. If you don't know what they're referring to, so the burpee is like when you go up and then you go all the way down and back up and then a broad jump forward. So imagine doing that until you went the distance of 1 mile.
I'm so doing it. I'm going to do it. This is.
Are you serious?
I'm so committed. Like I really want to see how long it takes. I think he said the time too in his press conference. I'll have to go back to the transcript.
I think he said it took over an hour.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you just say fudge?
Fudge.
Well,
yes,
I want Nick to do this now. He's committed, and then me and Carman Hoge will ride in a car and follow him while he does this, or a golf cart, since he probably won't be moving all that fast.
No.
And yeah, we'll get a golf cart, and I'll probably have a few drinks and heckle you while you do this.
Sounds
an hour and 11 minutes. It looks like burpee, broad jump, 1 mile.
I like this.
His press conference. Right. Yes.
If we did this, the four of us, I'm not even gonna say. I don't think any of us finish. How far would we go? I mean,
well, I won't make it one broad jump before my knees completely buckle and give out. So next,
okay, we'll put Steven into the conversation here. We'll put Steven in the conversation here.
If I tried to do it before I got there, I'd puke. That's what would happen. That I guarantee. Like I'd faint, or it wouldn't happen. That's insane. He's impressive, man.
Guy. He's a CrossFit guy too. Those guys are nuts. And I mean, his dad is crazy too. I mean, like with the arm wrestling and everything, but he's a different cat when it comes to working out.
Well, and he said last year that he thought that he was going to leave Shepherd and go back to his hometown and be a trainer at like Orange Theory, or I think he said something along those lines, that he was just going to be a fitness guy. And, now, of course, he's going into the second year in the NFL. He also said that he's living at home. He lived at home in the off season. And I asked him, I'm like, you want to move out? Yeah, I mean, you make NFL money. You can certainly afford your own place. And he's like, no. He's the oldest of four, and he loves his brothers and sisters, and he's going to live there as long as until it's just kind of weird. Like, he's like, I won't be living at home at 34, however he put it, but he's sticking in there. The dude's he's so adorable. He's living at home as an NFL player. That's some wholesome stuff for your backup quarterback, Greg.
For the record, when he got done with this, he went to Betty's restaurant in Shepherdstown, West Virginia.
Yeah.
And he ate 6 eggs and bacon and some toast.
I mean,
perfect.
It's too bad that he's not. I mean, it's wonderful, and Caleb and all the things, and great that the Bears got all this going on. It's too bad that his personality is not the starting quarterback of the Bears. He would be a lot of fun.
Caleb's got personality, though.
He ain't doing 1 mile burpee, whatever's, and living with his family and eating 6 eggs and bacon, and just like the whole vibe of this guy is just phenomenal.
He is.
And there's any quarterback in the league. It's totally unnecessary.
Right, exactly. He's a Gardner Minshew. Get in your RV, whatever. Right. Like,
he's easy to root for, and it is a shame that he's caught in the crossfires of us wanting your misery being more important, and so thus, Bagent's catching some strays here on the CHGO Bears podcast.
I love that everyone's jumping in right now in the chat that we can all eat 6 eggs and have bacon.
Yeah, we can do that part. Got you.
I hate it.
6 eggs. That's a lot.
That's right. You hate eggs.
Yeah, I don't eat eggs. Why would I eat rubber?
That's like your craziest take you ever had on here. Like the whole Thanksgiving, like you hate eggs, all types of eggs.
Yeah, everybody hates eggs.
Wait, doesn't someone here hate mac and cheese too?
I don't. No, that's great. Mac and cheese is great.
Oh, you know what? I think it's Kevin Fishbane. I think Kevin Fishbane thinks mac and cheese is disgusting.
What? That's a bad take by Fishbane and a bad take by Braggs on eggs.
I hope I'm correct on that. Otherwise, I just sent a bunch of people after him on Twitter. Probably
he's gonna get some ads.
I feel bad about it. He's gonna be like, "What are you guys talking about?" No, I'm pretty sure that's right. I know there's somebody. No, it might be Pat Finley. I think it's Pat Finley. I think it's Pat Finley. By the way, did you see that Courtney Cronin was asked on Waddle and Sylvie the other day? Who asked who should be banned from asking questions?
Oh, and who'd you say? Who'd you say?
And I thought she would definitely say Carm, but instead she said Pat Finley.
Oh no.
That's funny. We love you, Pat. You know what was funny today in the press room, if I may? They put Coleman Shelton up there, and I think at least half the room did not know who the player was at the podium, whether it was Coleman Sheldon or whether it was Ryan Bates. And so there was this really awkward pause, like, all right, guys, go ahead. And I was like 98% certain it was Coleman Sheldon, but I wasn't going first for the 2% that I would have been wrong. So it almost felt like the first question to Coleman Sheldon, they should have been like, are you Coleman or are you Bates? Are you Bates or
They have completely different looks too. One has got the beard and the tattoo sleeve, and the one is like, hey, Coleman Sheldon's got great hair. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's true. But it was a really long, awkward pause. Like, okay, guys, go ahead. And like, no one's going. I'm like, I don't think anybody knows who this is.
That is not the first time that's happened, by the way. I will fully admit that there have been moments where it's like a little bit of an intro here would be nice.
Go ahead. Your name, please.
Yeah. But that's one of those things where like they've been in the building for 4 months now, and then they like sort of forget that we haven't talked to these guys.
Well, and you see them with their helmets on and their jersey, but then when they walk out without that stuff on, I mean, license and registration, please.
Yeah, I get it. All right. By the way, the on the depth chart conversation, Nick brought up who is listed at the returner positions: Velus Jones, DeAndre Carter, and then on the punt return, DeAndre Carter's listed first, then Velus Jones. Both of them say the word "or" though. For the record,
Roma Dunze did take some punts today. A few.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did. And for the record, I was just about to bring that up if I can't find my own tweet. That's why. Richard Hightower, the Bears special teams coordinator, listed off players in the mix for the punt return job: Roma Dunze, DeAndre Carter, Dante Pettis, Velus Jones, Greg Schroman. Yes, Tyreek Stevenson. He brought his name up. I don't think that's very likely, but he did. And then he also mentioned that DJ Moore is capable of doing it too. We have occasionally seen him take punts. I doubt he would ever do it in a game. And then Hightower said, I don't know who the guy is going to be, but those guys are all getting work. And we've seen even like DeAndre Carter dropped at least one Torrey Taylor punt today. I mean, I think there is some truth to what Braggs was talking about earlier, that they are kind of adjusting to that ball and it's a different catch.
Yeah,
no doubt.
And to me, the two names it should be are DeAndre Carter or Dante Pettis. I know everybody's excited for Roma Dunze and all the different potential he has. Personally, I'd like to see him just focus on being a wide receiver. He had a few punt returns in college. He did take one to the house, and that might bait you into thinking, oh, yeah, let's put this playmaker back there, and he can make plays just like other wide receivers do. But to me, I have no interest in that. He doesn't have the body type to me as a natural punt returner. I'm not saying he's not capable in a pinch, but I just think with everything he has to go to learn as a wide receiver and developing chemistry in this league with Caleb Williams, I just think they need to give that role to someone else. Maybe you don't have some dynamic playmaker back there. You just need somebody to bring in a punt, so be it. But I just have no interest in Roma Dunze taking on that role.
So that would mean probably 6 wide receivers making the team, because you'd basically have to use 2 of those wide receivers just to fill your returner jobs, which would be what they had last year too. I mean, Velus Jones is making this team as a kick returner. I don't see any way in which that's not happening. And then you're basically saying DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, Tyler Scott, which could have been maybe in the conversation for a surprise cut potentially, but the way he's been playing in camp, I don't see that happening so far. So that's 4 wide receivers. Then Velus Jones makes it as your kick returner. That's 5. And then you're talking about DeAndre Carter, Dante Pettis making it. That's 6. So 6 wide receivers, basically 2 of those guys being returners.
Well, I used to try to keep 7 wide receivers every year on the roster, and that never happened. So 6 seems light to me.
There you go. And then Simba Webster obviously will be on the practice squad for the 18th year in a row. Got to have that.
The guy's so good. I love him.
So he consistent was in making this roster in some way, somehow.
They were playing Snoop Dogg today. Snoop Doggy Dogg. The Bears were loving it. The people were. Gerald Everett was having the time of his life, and I had a little Simba Webster, got a little dance in there. It was a good Snoop Dogg. Hoge, you had left at that point, but me and Nick were experiencing all the doggy dog, and it was a great doggy dog.
You bring up Gerald Everett, man. First time seeing him in person in pads, for the Bears, and he is not your typical tight end.
Wide receiver like.
Yeah, he is very wide receiver like. Like every time I see him make a catch, I'm like looking at my roster sheet to remind myself, like, wait, that's a tight end that just made that play. And it definitely seems like they have a little bit of chemistry, him and Caleb, in terms of running that post route, about 15 yards downfield. Caleb did have one overthrow to him at one point, but then he had a couple where he fit it right into him. So a little bit of trust developing there.
I do want to address a question, and then let's get into super chats here. But because I've seen this now in our chat a couple times, and I've seen it on Twitter a couple times, when people are wondering if the lighting improved in the media room. I don't know if scroll. I wanted to shout out who just dropped that in here in the comments. I'm not seeing it now, so I apologize. But someone just asked that question. So they added a light that's sitting on the podium. So if you're standing at the lectern, there's a light at the top of the lectern, like right underneath the microphone, shining back at whoever's talking's face. And I think that's all it was. But I did notice that too. Like it looks different, and like it looks like almost like a higher quality camera as a result of just a little bit better lighting. So for those wondering about that, and the biggest reason I noticed it was because the first day Flus went up there, which I think was last Saturday after report day, because they were sitting at the table on report day. So they put the lectern back up there. He was like, "Oh, I wasn't briefed on this new light here shining in my face." It kind of had some fun with that. So I don't know. Paul was Santiago's one to ask this question. Maybe it is a Hard Knocks thing. It wouldn't shock me if that's a little Hard Knocks edition. I don't really know. Hard Knocks typically doesn't use a ton of press conference footage, though. They don't need to. They usually get guys on the side. I mean, every once in a while, like I know there's Dan Campbell press conference stuff in there, but they are filming most of those days. And so, yeah, just a little bit better lighting might be part of it.
The lectern. When you said lectern, I haven't heard that word in a while. I was like,
well, we call it a podium, but technically the podium's what they're standing on. The lectern is the thingamajig in front of them with the microphone.
Lectern. I like it.
You ever put lectern and thingamajig in the same sentence? Because I just did that.
Another observation in terms of camp, sorry, Hoge, I know you want to transition to Super Chats, was some of the slip screens that they were throwing. I mean, simple plays, but effective, and you're dumping it off to Gerald Everett or Khalil Herbert or DeAndre Swift. These are guys, DJ Moore, they tried to throw a screen to. He threw it a little ahead of him. TJ made this miraculous one-handed catch to bring it back in. Caleb led him a little too much. But you just have a lot of different weapons on this team that you can give them the ball in short yardage, and they're going to take it a long ways. They have a lot of different options in that regard. So as much as we talk about, the wide receiver trio and what they're going to do downfield, they have some of these guys that you can dump it off to quickly, and then it turns into a big gain as well. So that was something that I thought was encouraging just watching practice today.
All right, let's fly through some supers here. Steven, you could throw them up whatever order you would like to throw them up in. Our guy Joe Henschel on my super, I just said that it was great to have y'all back together and that y'all been killing it with coverage. Appreciate that, Joe. Yeah, Joe had a super in our last stream that we had to end because of some technical difficulties. Glad this one's been going strong. You guys are still hanging with us here. Fran Chile 199. I think the audio hacker is a Bagent lover. Blame Carm.
Oh, Fran. Good to see you, Fran. And shout out to Joe, who's the absolute man. Appreciate him for everything he does for the show.
Eric Harshbarger, my $5 super chat from the first stream was that a new song idea for you guys. Carm, you want to do this? I know where he's going with it.
You and me, baby, ain't nothing but meatballs. So let's do it like they do it on the You and me, baby, ain't nothing but meatballs. Let's do it like they do on the CHGO channel. You and me. I got it. Harshberger, you're there. I'll be singing it the rest of the day.
Love it.
I'm unfortunately probably will too. H. Chirosky, I don't know how else to do that one. Had a super chat from the first one. Since Bears offense is wearing blue on blue, does that mean they're wearing blue on blue for the Hall of Fame game or for week 1? I don't think so. They were just wearing blue pants. One team has to wear blue practice jerseys. The other wears white.
Pretty standard.
We do see. I did notice the blue pants today because usually I feel like we see the white pants at practice.
Doesn't mean they're not wearing it. Doesn't mean they are wearing it.
Now
there you go.
Remember.
Yeah, that's just like the Bears depth chart. Right. Football CF Candy had 3 questions. Anyone time Javon's get off? I do not believe we timed the get off. That would be pretty hard to do, but like I said, slightly quicker, plenty fine. I think I was impressed with him today with the pads on. How much did Braxton practice? He practiced a good amount, more in team drills. He didn't finish the whole thing in team drills, but it seemed like it was probably a pitch count that they had ready to go, and he was out there more. And then 3, will you guys get to interview Poles? Need to hear his thoughts on the O-line pressure or for more additions.
Well, if I run into Poles at camp, I will force him to come on the show.
Take him hostage.
I don't know about on this show, but for the record, I know because people do ask. We have not been told that we won't get Ryan Poles at our normal GM conversation on Hoge Johns at some point in training camp, but so far I don't think that's scheduled. So maybe that'll happen. I'm not sure, but it'll come up at some point. All right, Quinn Anderson, $10. Welcome back. Here's my hot take from camp. Does the emergence of Tyler Scott and Valus kinda cause some buyer's remorse with the Rome pick when looking at the O-line struggles today or edge weakness? No.
It's good to see Tyler Scott making plays though. Like it is good seeing that he's catching the ball, scoring, touchdown in today's practice. That's nice to see. But look, Keenan Allen's here for at least a year. You still need to, have guys behind him. So don't have buyers.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, he got under the football this time and stayed on his feet, caught the touchdown down the right sideline, and as the kids say, keep that same energy. I mean, everybody, on the ball, the other day where he dropped one and fell to his, left his feet. Everybody's talking about when he caught it, but he didn't stay on his feet. Everybody, is like, hey, you got to stay up. Well, he did this time, so give him the same love, for as much as the criticism as you're giving him. So you're definitely seeing improvement there with Tyler.
And another one from H. Chirasky, $5. Whoever returns the first punt at the Hall of Fame game, they need to play Crank That from Soldier Boy.
Ooh,
that'd be pretty sweet. That. Greg, if you turn around, there is a Devin Hester bobblehead directly, I think like right about over your right shoulder. There it is.
Well, if you turn around, you no longer have a Devin Hester bobblehead. See, just like that.
Wow. He gives you old fashioned, you take his Devin Hester bobblehead.
Yeah.
How dare you?
A lovely home, Adam.
What else
Just
can I have?
That.
You're welcome. You're never allowed back. Except for tomorrow when you have to do the show from here again. All right. Did we get to everything? Let me double check the notebook. Nick, you got anything else in your notebook? I know Carb doesn't. He wasn't taking notes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
I'll have stuff written. I'll have stuff written for
There
me.
you go.
At one point, when the offense was playing absolutely putrid, about 3/4 of the way through the practice, Mark texted me and said, "Start booing."
Oh, I heard him say that too.
Yeah.
And when you didn't hear me, Carm, but when Bagent threw the pick, me and a couple people from the stands were yelling your name, but you didn't respond.
I did not hear that, thankfully. I was, but
mortified. You were crying, and
it was a horrible pass. Horrible.
Here's why Carm wasn't taking notes. 17 huge overthrow to 12. 17 floater to 80. 32 PBU. 17 interception by 25, intended for 88.
My notes say hello to Rob, say hello to the DJ Moore guy in the parking lot, Chad. I wrote down Caleb to Everett, Caleb to DJ, incomplete. He walked off somewhere. There was a huge bomb to DJ Moore. We thought he was going to be hurt. He came back and played, but that was annoying. Or that was scary is a better word. Completion to Valus, I wrote down. Bagent to Freddie Swain's on my notes. Caleb to Cole, Caleb to Scott. Caleb overshot Everett. Tyler Scott, the push-off that we already talked about. Bagent missing Valus. There you go, Hoge. It's on there. I wrote down Roshan running well. Coleman Shelton tweaked his ankle at one point. The Walker tackling Herbert we talked about. Caleb right in the middle. Caleb to DJ. It was a completion right after that. Ian Wheeler got the ball a ton today. A lot of Ian Wheeler. Peter LeBlanc had a drop. You got that in your notes, Hoge? I don't think you do. I got LeBlanc.
No, great golfer, though, Peter LeBlanc.
Yeah. And then how about the guy that sat in front of us today? Complete Bears fan lunatic on your level, Braggs. He was screaming at everybody, loving everything that was going on. And one of
the guy with the beige hat, with the Super Bowl 20 logo on the side. So that guy said hi as soon as we sat down. I feel bad I don't remember his name. He might not have offered up his name, but he's watching this show right now, I guarantee you, and heard you call him a lunatic.
He is, and he was, and I mean that in a loving way. One of his yells out today was "Way to go, punt god!" So I wrote that one down. Mm-hmm. That was phenomenal. Tevin Jenkins with his right hand leaving. Of course, he ended up back on the field, so that was good. Kyler Gordon was sitting out, which everybody knows. He has a sleeve on his left leg. I wrote down Forrest Gump, Khalil Herbert, because every time Khalil Herbert gets the ball, he just keeps on running and running and running. I got about 100 more notes here, but
I think another observation, and I know we're going to wrap this up, but watching Caleb operate under center and handing the ball off, and at times with the play action, in college, if you watched them, he predominantly was in the shotgun facing the defense when the ball was snapped. And that's an adjustment for most college quarterbacks coming into the NFL, is learning to turn your face from the defense and have your back to the defense for a split second or for a few seconds as you're going through the run play. And then if you're doing a play action, turn it around and having to identify where you're going with the football. And there was a few times where he was under duress on a play action and was able to kind of wiggle his way up the pocket. He underthrew to Keenan Allen. He had another one where he rolled out, hit DJ Moore nice and easy in the flat, coming across. So I think for me tomorrow, I'll watch a little bit more of that, of how he operates under center and not just like in the shotgun and 7-on-7s and things of that nature.
All right. I'm going to wrap this thing up, boys. Appreciate everybody hanging with us today. And again, apologies for the technical difficulties off the start, but thank you for hanging with us. And again, if you're watching this and wondering where the best and worst was, that's in a separate video, so go check it out. It's on the YouTube channel. We will get that up for you as well. Honestly, I think if you're listening to the podcast version, we probably got this all chopped up and good to go for you. In good shape, so that's probably not an issue. Regardless, please hit the like button, please subscribe, we greatly appreciate it. And if you're listening to the podcast, please rate and review the pod. We will be back tomorrow. Yes, it's Friday now. Yes, tomorrow's Saturday. Hashtag no days off. We are rolling when the Bears are rolling. Another padded practice tomorrow, and we will be back here at 2:00 to recap everything that happened, as always. And of course, you can get all the Die Hard content, allchgo.com/diehard. Go sign up. You get my newsletter in the morning. Carm's 3 takeaways from camp. All of Nick's great stuff is on there too. And he'll have a notebook coming out a little bit later on today with all of his observations from camp as well. So make sure you are Die Hard. And don't hesitate to say hi if you're coming out to camp. Maybe we'll see you in the parking lot again tomorrow. Or at least Carm might. I don't know.
I'll be there.
With his munchkins.
And Poppy.
Again. All right. There were a couple nervous security people wondering what this random guy with a dog was doing and if he was going to try to get on a bus with his dog.
Settle down, security people.
Hoge's like, I'm bringing donuts, and Carm's like, I'm bringing Poppy. I go, you cannot bring the dog on the bus, Carm.
That's what you think.
Great show, guys. We will be back tomorrow with another post-practice recap. We'll talk to you then.
We all silly like the mayor.